Okay, so one of the things you can do with images as well as with other artwork in Illustrator is play around with transparency and effect and blending modes. So let's look at transparency first. So this background image is a bit strong and it's really interfering with the legibility of the text and the heading. So if I select that, you'll see up at the top here I have an opacity value. I also have a transparency panel where I also have the same opacity value. So I'm just going to click in there and I'm going to use my down arrow to adjust that opacity until it's much softer. I'm also going to change this text back to black. So that's looking much more legible. And for the gardens, I'm going to take the stroke off that. And let's just make it a dark gray. Okay, so that's reading a lot better now. So that's just working with transparency. Blending modes are a way for you to blend one object with objects below it. So in my transparency panel, the blending mode at the moment is set to normal. If I change that, let's say to multiply, you can see that what it's doing is it's taking the colors from the image I have selected or whatever the artwork is, and it's blending it with the colors below that. So multiply generally means the darkest colors win. If I choose screen, it's the other way around. The lightest colors win out of the image and the background, what's below it. And then overlay is kind of the mid-tones dominate. So multiply, screen, and overlay are the most common blending modes, but you can experiment with these. Usually what you would do is just experiment until you get something appealing. So in this case, I pretty much don't like any of that. I'd rather go back to the actual image. But for example, with this text here, if I wanted to experiment with a blending mode, I could choose something like overlay, and then that actually looks pretty cool. And if I apply a stroke to it, let's try like a dark blue with a blending, with a weight of 3, and let's try medium blue. Okay, that gives you kind of an interesting result because the white text is blending using overlay with the background image to give you an interesting result. So blending modes are there kind of for you to experiment with and to find something that gives you an interesting result. But what also is quite interesting or quite useful for is to drop outer color. So if you wanted to drop the black out of something, you would use screen. If you wanted to drop the white out of something, you would use multiply. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and see you next time.